Winning Blueprint presents.
Draft Zone.
Welcome to the Draft Zone. I'm your host, Luke. Thank you for joining me. This is the 2013 NFL Draft Wrap-Up. What we aim to do with this program is take a look at every single team in the National Football League's 2013 NFL Draft. Today we'll be talking about our final team in the NFL Draft Wrap-Up series, the Arizona Cardinals, and what they were able to accomplish in the 2013 NFL Draft. We'll look at each and every selection made by the Arizona Cardinals, give them a grade with our baseball grading scale, single, double, triple, home run. There are no strikeouts here in the draft wrap-up series, as we can never tell if these players are going to pan out or not, and we can't tell if the Arizona Cardinals actually reach for a player or not. If it's your guy, get your guy when you feel the need to get your guy. One player in particular in this draft for the Arizona Cardinals, Tyrann Mathieu, on some boards didn't exist for the Arizona Cardinals. He was a selection, and so you can never tell if a team in fact reached for a player or not. So there are no strikeouts here in the draft wrap-up series. So we'll look at each and every single pick made by the Arizona Cardinals, give them a grade, average it all up together at the end, and get an aggregate score for the Arizona Cardinals for their draft as a whole, and then move on from there. I've got the draft board behind me. Magic wand present. Let's get to the board and wrap up the Arizona Cardinals 2013 NFL Draft. So, you look at all the needs for the Cardinals. Quarterback, offensive line, safety, linebacker, running back. Quarterback. Cardinals made a huge move in the offseason getting Carson Palmer. And for Larry Fitzgerald's sake, forget about the rest of the team. For Larry Fitzgerald's sake, let's hope that Carson Palmer is the second coming of Kurt Warner in the late stages of his career and really gives the Arizona Cardinals the kind of boost that Kurt Warner gave them just 5 seasons ago. For Larry Fitzgerald, he can only hope that Carson Palmer is finally a stabilizing force under center, because what he's had to endure in Arizona is short of tragic. And so let's hope that quarterback has been addressed with Carson Palmer. But if you're the Cardinals, you still need help at the quarterback position. You look at offensive line. Cardinals need offensive line help. Their offensive line was abysmal last year, in large part due to injuries. Levi Brown went down, and so did the hopes of that offensive line actually being an adequate group. The offensive line, especially in the interior at the guard positions, was not strong in 2012. A couple of changes here and there. Levi Brown comes back. You draft a few players. Maybe this offensive line can get back to being a solid group in 2013, but offensive line definitely a need. Safety. You lose both of your starting safeties on this football team from a year ago. Adrian Wilson let go. So was Kerry Rhodes. So both of your starting safeties from a season ago no longer on your roster. Safety definitely a need for the Arizona Cardinals. You look at linebacker, you're going to have to endure a 4-game suspension to linebacker Darrell Washington, who I thought was probably your best defensive player outside of Patrick Peterson a season ago. And so linebacker looking a little thin. Paris Lennon is like 34 or 35 years old, so you could use some youth on that linebacking corps as well. Think that you could use an infusion of young, talented players at the linebacker position. Really like what Sam Acho is doing as well, but still could use more youth on that linebacking corps. You look at running back. That's been a position of, I don't want to call it a position of need so much as a position of inconsistency and a position that hasn't been able to stay healthy. Beanie Wells, throughout his whole tenure in Arizona, couldn't stay healthy. Ryan Williams, to this point, has not been able to stay healthy as the Cardinals running back. And so you look at the Cardinals running back situation, it's been a mess in Arizona, to say the least, over the last 3, maybe even 4 seasons. Running back definitely is a need for the Cardinals. If you can get Ryan Williams to come back healthy and add some backs to the mix, you went out and got Rashard Mendenhall, maybe you can kind of settle this running back group down. But right now, it's been a revolving door at the running back position, mainly in large part due to injury. Cardinals' running game has been non-existent because of the offensive line and because of the running back situation. Hopefully running back can be addressed here in the draft as well as in the offseason with some of the acquisitions that were made. You look at the board, round, pick, players, position, school. First round, 7th overall selection, offensive guard out of North Carolina, Jonathan Cooper. For me, this was a no-brainer. If the tackles weren't available, which they weren't at 7, you went with a guard. And it was a no-brainer for me. Guard had to be the pick here at 7 for the Cardinals. Now, the option was, which one? Do you take Jonathan Cooper or do you take Chance Warmack? That was the only discussion that should have been going on in the war room of the Arizona Cardinals. But again, going into the draft, you already know which one you like the most. And so whichever one was there, if both were there, which you would expect them to be, you take the one that's the highest on your board. That guy was Jonathan Cooper. And for me, I love the pick. I thought he was the better of the two in terms of athleticism. Sure, he's a little on the short side at 6'2", 6'3". At the guard position, I don't care. This guy is ultra athletic, and that's what you're looking for. A guy that doesn't have a problem in the passing game, but is a mauler in the run game. And see, a lot of people like to focus in on his run blocking ability. And sure, this guy really was a huge catalyst for a guy like Giovanni Bernard being so successful at North Carolina because he was getting out to the second wave. He was getting to that second level. He was out there kicking out blocks and getting to the second level, using his athleticism to really cause havoc down the field and create rushing lanes for Giovanni Bernard up the field and giving him space to run. And so a lot of people love to focus on Cooper's ability to run and maul guys in the run game. But I caution you that this guy is also a very adequate pass blocker as well. He anchors down, and once he anchors, he's able to absorb contact, and he's able to use that athletic ability to rebound sometimes when he overextends or when he misses. He's able to rebound because he's so athletic and get back and push that pass rusher past the quarterback. And so I think Jonathan Cooper brings a lot to the table for the Arizona Cardinals at a position that was desperately in need of an upgrade from the past season. And so you look at that 7th overall selection in the first round, Jonathan Cooper, offensive guard out of North Carolina. For me, it's a no-brainer. You can put it on the board, Cardinals. It's a home run in the first round with the offensive guard, Jonathan Cooper, out of North Carolina. This was a necessary pick. And I think they got it right, did the Arizona Cardinals, selecting Jonathan Cooper, guard out of North Carolina. You look at the second round selection. 45th overall, got this one from the San Diego Chargers, linebacker out of LSU, Kevin Minter. This is another really good selection by the Arizona Cardinals. And you look at the pick, and it's a linebacker, a guy that is only 6 feet tall. A lot of people like to make a lot of his height. And sure, at the linebacker position, you would love for your linebackers to be 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". But guess what? Everyone's not made that way. You can't change his height. This guy has the intangibles to play at a very high level at the next level in the National Football League. He's a tackling machine. When given the keys to the middle linebacker position, at LSU and given a full-time starter gig in his junior season in 2012, this guy posted 100 tackles, a lot of them for loss, and he was all over the football field. And so I love Kevin Minter's game. I think he's a guy that you can win with in the National Football League. Sure, he's going to give up some passes over the middle of the field when he's in coverage versus a 6'5" tight end. If the quarterback throws it up high, there's really not a lot Kevin Minter can do. I liken it to London Fletcher, a guy who is always in position to make plays on the football against a tight end. Problem is, London Fletcher is about 5'11", 5'10". And so that football goes sailing over his head, even though he's got perfect position. He's got perfect coverage. You can't defend the perfect pass. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you're only 5'10", 5'11", and this tight end is 6'6". Nothing you can do about that. And that's probably going to happen to Kevin Minter sometimes. However, this guy is great in pass coverage. He's even better in the run game. He's very smart. Sometimes he doesn't trust his instincts, especially on play action fake. But I like Kevin Minter a lot. I think he has all the intangibles, everything you're looking for from a skill set standpoint. Again, ignore the measurables. This guy is a football player through and through. Went to a big college, big conference, the best one there is in college football, and got it done playing at an extremely high level. Kevin Minter is a guy that you plug and play from day one, and the Arizona Cardinals will do just that. And again, you have guys like Paris Leonard, who's getting up there in age. You stick a guy like Kevin Minter in the middle of your defense, and you allow him to operate. And I think the Cardinals are going to do that, and they're going to be a better football team because of it. In the second round, 45th overall selection, Kevin Minter, linebacker out of LSU, is a stand-up triple for me. I love this selection. I think this is a guy that can come in and pay immediate dividends for the Arizona Cardinals in the 2013 season. You look up at the needs board. Cardinals, don't waste any time getting an offensive lineman in Cooper and getting a linebacker in Kevin Minter, handling a couple of needs right off the bat in the first 2 rounds of the 2013 draft. Those are good moves for the Arizona Cardinals. Now to probably the most talked about pick in this draft, and without a doubt probably one of the most talked about players in this draft. 3rd round, 69th overall selection, cornerback out of LSU. Cardinals go back-to-back with LSU selections, this time selecting the Honey Badger, and he doesn't like to be called that anymore, Tyrann Mathieu. What a ballsy move by the Arizona Cardinals. We knew someone was going to select this guy. We knew someone was going to take him right around this area, somewhere maybe late 2nd, early 3rd. He wasn't going to make it out of the 3rd round, most suspected. And the Cardinals took a risk. And this is a high risk reward type of pick. You're getting a guy that was ultra productive at the college level, at a big time program, in a big time conference, yet did not play in 2012. And I'm always wary about the guys who don't play a year of football. We've seen this time and time again. Guys who don't play in a year before they're drafted because of off-the-field issues or because of a decision that they made, and it yields them a year out of football. They get drafted. They're not prepared for the National Football League. We saw it with Mike Williams. We saw it with Maurice Clarett. We've seen it with guys time and time again, and it did not work out for them. This situation, although a little bit different, it's much of the same. You've got a guy who did not play because of his own transgressions, was kicked off of the LSU football team for drug-related issues and substance abuse. And so he's got some demons to fight off the field. If you listen to him and you believe him, you think that he's going to be able to have this problem under control. We don't know. But let's focus on Tyrann Mathieu, the football player. Talking about a 5'9", 200-pound cornerback. And I say cornerback tentatively because all indications and all reports out of Arizona is that this guy's a safety. So we don't even need to classify him as a cornerback any longer. This guy's a safety. And you say to yourself, 5'9" safety? And I'm being generous. I said 200 pounds. This guy's more like a $190, soaking wet. So you're talking about 5'9", 190. What is this guy doing at safety? He's a playmaker. And what you want to do with playmakers is find ways to get them on the field, invent ways to get them on the field. He played a little bit of safety at LSU. He was wherever the LSU Tigers needed him to be. He was outside on big receivers. He was in the slot on shifty receivers. He was back at safety. And this guy's adept at blitzing, which I can see the Cardinals having him do quite a bit. He's not afraid to tackle and throw his body around. That's one thing about Tyrann Mathieu that I love. Not afraid to throw his smallish frame around. It doesn't matter. He's going to find a way to get you on the ground, and that's what it's all about. Very feisty football player. Love the tenacity and the determination that Tyrann Mathieu brings to the table. The biggest issue with him is, will he be allowed to roam free and make plays at the safety position? Because I expect him to drop down a lot, play the slot. As we know, the NFL, it's really moving into a passing league. And so a lot of teams' base offense has 3 receivers on the football field. If that is in fact the case, don't be surprised if the Cardinals shift to a 3-safety look with Tyrann Mathieu moving down into the slot. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this guy playing a lot of the slot corner while still being a safety on the field, blitzing from that slot corner position, really causing a lot of havoc. They want him to be the playmaker that he was at LSU. He also adds some return value if necessary. Don't really see him dabbling in that right now because of Patrick Peterson's prowess back there. But tell you what, this is a huge proposition, huge risk and reward type of pick by the Arizona Cardinals. One that I am very anxious to see how it actually plays out. But kudos to the Arizona Cardinals for pulling the trigger on this move and getting a guy that could potentially change the game in Arizona. And sometimes you got to take those kinds of chances. I love this selection. In the 3rd round, 69th overall selection, cornerback, or should I say safety out of LSU, Tyrann Mathieu is a triple for me. Boom or bust proposition here. We know all the talent exists. All the playmaking ability is right there. All of it. Can he focus in on his craft, keep his nose clean off the field, and get it done at the NFL level after not playing football in the 2012 season? Be very interesting to see how this all plays out. I know I'll be focusing in on him and seeing how he is progressing in Arizona, as I suspect you will as well, because he was one of the most talked about players in this draft. I think a lot of intrigue surrounds Tyrann Mathieu. So we move on to the 4th round. Cardinals had 2 4th-round selections. 103rd overall selection, defensive end out of Texas, Alex Okafor. Really think this is a solid selection by the Arizona Cardinals. Question I have is, what are the Arizona Cardinals looking to do with Alex Okafor? At college, he was a 4 technique at defensive end. What are they going to use him as at the next level? I've heard reports that the Cardinals might be thinking about using this guy at outside linebacker. I disagree with that. I'd love for the Cardinals to ask Alex Okafor, who is currently around 6'4", 264, 265. I'd love for the Arizona Cardinals to ask this guy to put on about 15 pounds and play defensive end, or just 10 pounds. If he can get from 265 to 275 at 6'4", 6'5", I'd love to see this guy play the 5 technique. I think that's exactly where he needs to be in the National Football League. A 5 technique. He's not fast enough. He doesn't bend well enough. He's not agile enough to play outside linebacker and stand up and take his hand out of the dirt in the NFL. I don't think his short area quickness is what it needs to be to play linebacker. I think you get this guy, you stick him on the edge at the 5 technique. If you're the Cardinals and you're still playing a 3-4 defense. If you're playing a 4-3 defense, you leave him at defensive end, but you put him on the left side at defensive end, and you have him be on the strong side of the defense, and you allow him to stop the run, because this isn't a guy that's going to get consistent pressure on the quarterback. Sporting a 4.9 40, there's not a lot of explosion here. He's the guy that the motor always runs hot. He's the guy that's going to give you everything he's got in the tank. He's very strong, stout at the point of attack, great against the run. And again, if you're not careful, he'll bull rush you, take you right to the quarterback. If you're not careful, he'll get around you, get to the quarterback. But against these really good tackles in this league, he's not going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. But what he will do is be very sound in his technique. He's not great at anything, but he's really good at everything. And so Alex Okafor is a guy that you stick in on your defensive line, and it becomes better because of it. And I think that if you are the Arizona Cardinals, if the 3-4 is what you're going to be implementing, you got to get this guy to put on some weight and stick him at the 5 technique. I just don't think you can take him out of the dirt. I can't see you taking his hand out of the dirt and sticking him at outside linebacker. It just does not benefit you to do so. Now, you've had some success with another defensive end out of Texas by the name of Sam Acho, but these are 2 different animals, 2 different body types, 2 different football players. I don't think Alex Okafor will make that transition as seamlessly as Sam Acho did. I think Alex Okafor is a natural defensive end, and I think you have to get this guy to play the defensive end position. You drafted him as a defensive end. I think he needs to stay a defensive end. I like the pick, though. This guy is a proven player. He can get it done. He's ready to play in the National Football League right now. His body is NFL ready. And so in the 4th round, 103rd overall selection, defensive end out of Texas, Alex Okafor, for me, is a triple. I hope the Arizona Cardinals make the right decision here. Do not try and do what you did to Sam Acho. Do not try to do what the Washington Redskins did with another defensive end out of Texas in Brian Orakpo and make this guy and convert him into an outside linebacker. Those guys owned and possessed different skill sets than Alex Okafor. Those guys are different types of football players that are able to bend, that are able to do different things that Alex Okafor simply does not excel at. Let's hope the Arizona Cardinals make the right decision and leave this guy with his hand in the dirt and allow him to excel there. If they do that, I think they have a whale of a football player on their hands, and they'll be a better defense because of it. To me, Alex Okafor is a triple. I love this guy. He's ready to play in the National Football League right now. I'd love to see this guy stay at defensive end. So you look at another 4th round selection, 116th pick from the New York Giants, offensive guard out of James Madison, Earl Watford. And look, Watford for me is a solid pick by the Arizona Cardinals, a team in desperate need of offensive line help. Here's more depth along that offensive line in a guy that went to a small school at James Madison in Earl Watford. Very solid guard. Again, another one of these athletically gifted guards. He had one time in the 40 clocked in at a 4.9, and so this guy can move at the guard position. Probably a little bit better in the run game than he is in the passing game, but this guy has a nasty streak on him, and I love that. You know how I am, and you know how I am about my small school guys. I don't care where you go to school at, dominate. I don't care what conference you played in, dominate. I don't care what division you played at, dominate. That's what Earl Watford did. 2-time all-conference player at James Madison, so he was getting the job done was Earl Watford. Now, he's a guy that is nasty in the run game. Nasty streak, very physical, in your face type of guard. Can work at the pass blocking aspect a little bit more and get a little bit more adept at that. At times, he's slow off the ball, slow to anchor. But if he can get that aspect of his game down pat, this guy is a heck of a run blocker. Something that the Cardinals need. And you see what the Cardinals are doing with Cooper and Watford, what they're trying to do. They're trying to gain an identity in Arizona. They've been a finesse team that can't run the football for a long time in Arizona. And this goes back to the Kurt Warner days. They weren't that good at running the football. They were a heck of a passing team, but the running game always was lagging behind the passing game. And last year and the year before that, the run game was non-existent in Arizona. And so they're looking to change the culture. Bruce Arians has come in. He's going to implement his offense, but he's looking to change the culture in Arizona. And one of those things is, hey, we're going to be a team that can smack you in the mouth and run the football. And here's another guy that can help you do that in Earl Watford. Now, again, he needs some help in the area of pass protecting. And he can pass protect, don't get me wrong, but he could use some fine-tuning there. Where his strength is right now is run blocking. And the Arizona Cardinals can use every single bit of it. So if this guy is on your roster, which I believe he will be, a fourth-round selection, he's going to be on your roster. You fine-tune his game. You teach him how to pass block at this level, how to stay in front of guys. He does a great job of mirroring defensive tackles, but he can be beat. So you teach him all the nuances of the offensive line, give him all the instructions, all the tutelage he needs at that position. He's going to be depth right now. Don't be surprised, though, if down the road, in a year or two, if Earl Watford isn't a starter for the Arizona Cardinals. Don't be surprised, because this guy has what it takes to get it done at the next level. At 6'3", 300 pounds, very athletic. He's got more room to grow into that frame. Don't be surprised if Earl Watford down the line is a starter for the Arizona Cardinals. Like this pick, solid production, needs a little bit of work. And for that reason, in the fourth round, 116th overall selection, offensive guard out of James Madison, Earl Watford for me is a double. Very strong, very athletic guy, needs some fine-tuning. Didn't play against the best competition, so that'll be something that you also have to look for. But I think Earl Watford has everything you need from a guy that you're going to plug in at the guard position down the road. So you look at the fifth round, 140th overall selection, running back out of Stanford, Stephon Taylor. Once a Cardinal, always a Cardinal. From one Cardinal to the next, Stephon Taylor is a solid back in this draft, one of the most reliable backs in this draft. A guy that don't confuse for a speed demon. Okay? And that's putting it very, very kindly. Okay? At 4'7", 40, this guy is borderline slow. However, don't let that time confuse you into thinking that Stephon Taylor can't get it done in the National Football League. He plays faster than that 4'7" time. Now, he's not going to win any foot races. Don't care who he's outrunning. He's not going to win many foot races in the National Football League. That's a fact. However, he's quick. He does everything well. Nothing great, but he catches the ball out of the backfield, is an adequate pass blocker, can run the football, has good feet, makes sharp cuts. Sometimes is a little indecisive in the backfield, but when he decides to go, he's a guy that can explode through the hole, make people miss. He's a very powerful runner, built low to the ground at 5'9", 215 pounds. Very solid guy that will bounce off of contact if you do not wrap up. If you come with an arm tackle, forget about it with Stephon Taylor. He's a guy that runs the ball, very powerful. And so I think that the Cardinals are looking for, and again, this is part of that identity change I was just talking about for the run game. A lot of guys have come through Arizona, haven't been able to be durable, haven't been able to be healthy, and play for the Arizona Cardinals. Stephon Taylor, the direct opposite. Very durable back, a guy that you can rely on to be on the football field week in and week out. Very strong with the football, keeps it high and tight. Isn't the strongest guy with his upper body. Lower body is a lot stronger than his upper body. Still keeps it high and tight. Very physical runner. I like what he brings to the table because he brings everything to the table. Again, he's not great at one thing, but he's really sound in every area imaginable at the running back position. And for that, in the 5th round, 140th pick, running back out of Stanford, Stephon Taylor, is a solid double for me. I like what the Cardinals are trying to do with this rushing attack, trying to breathe some life into it by getting guys that are more reliable, by getting guys along that offensive line who can push that line of scrimmage up a yard or two before the back even gets the football. They're changing the culture, the identity of this Arizona Cardinals team. And a guy like Stephon Taylor is going to help you do that immensely by bringing his style of running, his style of play to the Arizona Cardinals. Let's look at the needs board for the Cardinals. You get a safety in Tyrann Mathieu. You get a running back in Stephon Taylor. You get a guard in Earl Watford. And so the Cardinals addressing needs in this draft, taking steps to try to get this new regime off to a good start. Steve Keim, your new general manager, who was promoted from within, doing a great job of getting guys that fit what the Arizona Cardinals are trying to do moving forward. So we go on to the 6th round, 174th overall selection, wide receiver out of Texas A&M, Ryan Swope. This is my absolute favorite player in this draft. Absolutely love Ryan Swope. And honestly, he has no business being here in the 6th round. None whatsoever. The production at Texas A&M, the athleticism, all the things he brings to the table, ex-running back, converted receiver. He has no business being here in the 6th round. The only thing holding him back that has him here for the Cardinals to even select in the 6th round is the fact that he suffered a couple of concussions in college. And we all know those concussions can really come back to haunt you down the road. Just ask a guy like Javid Best or Anthony Gonzalez, who we've seen succumb to concussions down the line. And so if Ryan Swope can stay clear of those concussions, you got yourself an absolute steal in the 6th round. I love Ryan Swope's game. And I'm one of those guys that likes to confine him to the slot, but he's not strictly a slot receiver. You can put this guy out wide at 6 feet, 215, solidly built. It's 205. This guy is built like a stallion. And again, his build is more like a running back. So when you see this guy out catching passes, you're thinking, hey, this guy's probably a running back out catching passes. But his body type, even though it's in a running back's body, translates well to receiver because of how quick his feet are. And you see this guy out there, and at the combine, he lit it up. He ran a 4.37 40. He really does not play at that time, however. He's probably more along the lines of a 4.44 40 guy. Doesn't matter. He's quick in and out of his breaks. I think he's a fabulous slot option if you are the Arizona Cardinals. But don't feel the need to confine him to the slot. Move this guy around. Give him other areas to play. Allow him to work for you. Guys like him should be able to take advantage of the fact that Larry Fitzgerald is on this football team. I expect Ryan Swope to make an immediate impact on this football team, to contribute in the 2013 season. Like I said, you got an absolute steal here in the 6th round, and I think Cardinal fans are going to be delighted at what they get out of Ryan Swope. Tough as nails, fast, athletic, catches everything, doesn't have a problem catching the football away from his frame, can block outside as a receiver. I love everything about his game. Ryan Swope is my guy. And so in the 6th round, 174th overall selection, wide receiver out of Texas A&M, Ryan Swope for me is a triple. Absolutely am enamored with this pick by the Arizona Cardinals. I think they did a great job of getting excellent value in the 6th round in a receiver in the form of Ryan Swope. So we go to the second 6th round selection, 187. This one is from the Giants, running back out of Clemson, Andre Ellington. Again, revamping the running game. And here's another guy that's going to help you do that. You need as many backs as you can get in here if you're the Cardinals, because you don't trust what you have on the roster right now. You signed Rashard Mendenhall to a 1-year deal. You don't know if Ryan Williams is going to be able to stay healthy. Hasn't been able to do so in his first 2 seasons in the National Football League. And so you drafted 2 backs. Andre Ellington here in the 6th round out of Clemson is a solid choice. Here's a guy that has great straight line speed. Lateral quickness leaves a little bit to be desired. Probably not going to win a lot of foot races in the National Football League. But if you allow this guy to get a full head of steam running in one direction, he's going to be hard to catch. Now, he's a 4.6 40 guy, so he's not a blazer. But I tell you what, the acceleration, he's a lot quicker than fast. And so the acceleration is there. And if you're not careful, boom, this guy can get by you. And he's got quick feet. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I like Andre Ellington a lot. Does have a little bit of a deficiency in pass blocking. He's a little bit better than people give him credit for, but I still think he's lacking in that area. But here's a guy that you can hand the football to. You can throw it to him out of the backfield. He can make some things happen. I like Andre Ellington a lot. And he played at Clemson in a backfield where he shared carries. So he's not foreign to being a guy that comes in as a change of pace back. I think that the Cardinals are trying to change that identity. I've talked about this several times. Here's a guy that's going to help you do that. Run with a low pad level and not afraid to deliver a blow. He's going to get everything that's there on any given running play. And so I think Andre Ellington is going to be a nice addition. I expect just about every one of these picks to make your roster because a lot of these guys are talented and they're talented enough to crack this roster. And I think that the Cardinals did a wonderful job of drafting talented guys from the first pick all the way to the last pick. None of these are throwaway picks, guys that they just draft and stash or guys that they hope can make their roster. I think these are all guys that eventually will make their roster. Maybe this last pick may not. We'll see when we get to that. But Andre Ellington, for me, is an excellent selection here in the 6th round. In 187, running back out of Clemson, Andre Ellington is a double for me. Love this pick. Think the Cardinals are really doing a great job of revamping this rushing attack. We finish up this draft in the 7th round, 219th overall selection from the Oakland Raiders, tight end out of Rutgers, D.C. Jefferson. Simply put, not enough production for me. This is a 6'6" tight end at 255 pounds. He's got the potential to be a difference maker at the tight end position. One that the Cardinals haven't seen since, it's been a long time. You've had a steady diet of very lackluster tight ends in Arizona. You haven't had really good difference-making tight ends in a long time. You have Hausler right now, who I'm a big fan of. Maybe D.C. Jefferson could be a guy that could be a huge target for you in the red zone. At 6'6", he has the frame. Didn't catch a lot of passes at Rutgers. That's the thing that really startles me. Doesn't have a lot of experience either at the tight end position. He came to college, to Rutgers, as a quarterback, made the transition in his sophomore season. And so I'm still trying to see what D.C. Jefferson really is as a tight end. I have no idea. And again, in the famous words of Brian Billick, son, your potential is going to get me fired. I don't trust D.C. Jefferson because I don't know what D.C. Jefferson is. Look, all the potential is there. 6'6", 255. Look, the 40 time doesn't wow you. He's not overly athletic. He's a 4'9", 40 guy. So I don't know exactly what he brings to the table. He's not a great blocker yet. Again, very raw at the tight end position. So he's got a lot to learn. And at this stage, I don't know if the Cardinals have enough time to teach this guy everything they want him to learn. It's a single for me in the 7th round at 219, tight end out of Rutgers, D.C. Jefferson. Potential is there. Just don't know if it'll manifest itself quickly enough to help him make this roster. So you look at The running back position, you get another running back in the form of Andre Ellington. No quarterback if you're the Arizona Cardinals, which I think is a bit of a mistake. I thought that this would have been the perfect opportunity to select a quarterback and allow them to learn behind Carson Palmer, who is the consummate professional. Here's a guy that's been in the league umpteen years, knows exactly what it takes to be a pro in this league, could have really shown a rookie the ropes. And sure, you could go about this process next year and get a quarterback early in the draft and have him be the guy behind Carson Palmer and be the successor to Palmer. But I don't know. Maybe the Cardinals didn't want Carson Palmer feeling like he's got a guy breathing down his neck and that if he doesn't get it done, we've got this rookie here and it's his time to go. Maybe they really wanted it to be a clean slate, a new start, fresh for Carson Palmer. And so maybe from that standpoint, I get it. But there was a run on quarterbacks in the fourth round where guys were just sitting there for the taking. And I thought the Cardinals would have been really smart and in their best interest to grab one of those guys. Allow him to learn from Carson Palmer what it takes in the film room, the intensive detail that you have to pay in the study room, how to practice, how to be a pro day in and day out, what it takes in the meetings, what it takes in the practice field, what it takes in the gym, in the weight room, what it takes mentally to prepare yourself to be a quarterback in this league. You could have learned all that stuff from Carson Palmer for the next 2 or 3 seasons. Instead, you don't have that guy. He's not on your roster right now. It is what it is. But you look at this draft. I love what the Arizona Cardinals have done here. Steve Keim, Bruce Arians, I think they got together and they really figured out what an Arizona Cardinal player looks like, and they really got on the same page in terms of really deciding what direction they want this team to go in. We know Bruce Arians is an offensive-minded coach. We saw what he was able to do with the Indianapolis Colts a season ago, Andrew Luck, and that offense. Vic Ballard, a guy that was essentially, for many, for the lay fan, an unknown out of Mississippi State. He takes him, makes him a very viable option at the running back position. You see what the Cardinals have done here in this draft, and you realize Bruce Arians is going to transform this offense. This team is going to look very different in 2013. And so you look at this draft as a whole. Cooper is a home run. Mentor, Matthew, and Okafor, all triples. Watford and Taylor, doubles. Swope, another triple. Ellington, a double. And Jefferson rounds out the draft with a single. You average it all together, it's a solid double for the Arizona Cardinals. And shh, be very, very quiet. Don't tell anyone. Look out for the Arizona Cardinals in 2013. They're the dark horses. They're the sleeper in the NFC West division. Everyone's talking about San Francisco. Everyone's talking about Seattle going to the Super Bowl. The Rams really made a statement in 2012 by winning 4 or 5 games in this division. Really playing good football in the NFC West. So everyone thinks the Rams are on the cusp of something. No one's talking about the Arizona Cardinals. But I like what they've done in this offseason. I like what they've done in this draft. They're changing the culture in Arizona. Bruce Arians is a guy that I believe in, and I think the Cardinals feel like this draft, what they've done in free agency, they got a new GM in Steve Keim. They got a new head coach in Bruce Arians. They got a new quarterback in Carson Palmer. They like where they're heading, and I do too. I like it a lot. And so I tell you, don't be surprised if the Arizona Cardinals are a team to be reckoned with in the NFC West. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win the division. I'm not saying that they're going to make the postseason. But don't expect the Arizona Cardinals. Don't just pencil them in as the bottom feeders, as the doormat in the NFC West, because I think this Cardinal team has what it takes to make some noise in the NFC West division. It's a solid double for the Arizona Cardinals. And that is the conclusion of the NFL Draft Wrap-Up Series.
Draft Zone.